Okay, welcome to the Spiral Abyss Masterclass everyone. I won't be wasting your time with any small talk, so let's get started. Also, this video will be a two-part series. First I will talk about how to beat the corridor with the technicalities that happens behind the scenes, and the other video will be linked at the end with me actually 3-starring the entire thing and showcasing everything that I talked about here. The Spiral Abyss is broken into two sections, the Abyssal Quarter and the Abyss Moon Spire. They can be broken down further as beginners, medium, and advanced. Because I need you guys to get your foot into the advanced section, this video will only be focused on the Abyssal Quarter, which you need to at least get a satisfactory score to unlock the Moon Spire. Each floor has 3 chambers and each chamber has 3 stars. You need a minimum of 6 stars to unlock the next floor. Stars also allow you to get chamber bounties if you are doing it for the first time. Primogems and Mora are the rewards based on how many stars you get, and also just by completing the chamber, you would get a separate set of rewards such as Mora, Adventurer's Experience, Adventurer's Advice, Mystic Enhancement Ores, and these domain reliquary boxes which contain artifacts. These can only be collected once in the Abyss Corridor, so now that we got the basic stuff out of the way, let's talk about how to collect every star on every floor. So because these are the first beginner floors, I don't expect anyone to have any problems with them, but since this is a complete guide, I'll go over them quickly. Floor 1 has level 25 monsters. You are given 5 minutes per chamber, but to get all 3 stars, you have to beat each chamber in 1 minute and 30 seconds. You get 75% increased pyro damage and 200% overload damage increase. So take your strongest pyro character and dominate. Floor 2 has level 40 electro and hydro monsters. This floor gives a 75% increase in cryo damage and the freeze effects last a lot longer. You get the same 5 minutes per chamber, but to get all 3 stars you have to beat each chamber in 2 minutes, except the second one, because this is a leyline monolith protection quest, so all you need to do is keep it at or above 60% to get all 3 stars. In floor 3, you'll fight level 45 slimes and hilichurls, treasure hoarders, blazing axe mitachurls, and a ruin guard. This floor gives you 300% increase in swirl damage, 100% increase in area of effect, and a 75% anemo damage increase. You are given 5 minutes to beat each chamber, but to get all 3 stars, you have to beat chamber 1 and 2 in 2 minutes and chamber 3 in 3 minutes. In floor 4, you fight level 50 Hydro Slimes, Hilichurls, Blazing Axe Mitachurls, Sumachurls, and Hydro Abyss Mages. This floor gives a 75% increase in electro damage, 150% electro charge damage, and a 100% increase in area of effect. You are given 5 minutes per chamber, but you have to beat chamber 1 in 2 minutes, keep the monolith at or above 60% on the second chamber, and beat the third chamber in 3 minutes. This is the end of the beginner section, and from here on, things are going to get crazier, but I will be as detailed as possible to make sure you get through this, okay? So floor 5 and above is where you are required to have 2 teams or 8 characters in total. Each chamber is split into 2 sections where you fight a different set of monsters within the same time given to get all 3 stars. Floor 5 is the easiest, which we'll get into in a second, and how you build your team is completely up to you. Not all of them have to be maxed out or insanely strong, but I would recommend having at least 2 really strong characters to lead each team. On floor 5 chamber 1, you'll fight level 55 cryo slimes and hilichurls in the first half, so your first team should have at least 1 pyro character. In the second half, you will face level 55 pyro abyss mages, so the second team should have at least 1 hydro character. You get 10 minutes to beat both sections, but to get all 3 stars, you need to do it in 3 minutes, and that's 1 minute and 30 seconds for each section. In the second chamber, you fight various treasure hoarders. You are given 10 minutes for both sections, and to get 3 stars, you are required to do it in 6 minutes, which is 3 minutes per section. In chamber 3, you fight 1 Sissin mage and a few treasure hoarders. In the second half, you fight 1 pyro agent and a few treasure hoarders. You are also given 10 minutes for this chamber, and you're required to beat it in 3 minutes. The reason why floor 5 will be the easiest dungeon is because when you have more than 50% health, your attack and defense are increased by 25%, When you have more than 80% health, your attack speed and movement speed are increased by 20%. And finally, when you have more than 95% health, your crit rate is increased by 10% and your crit damage is increased by 20%. So the general rule of thumb is keep your health as high as possible. On floor 6 chamber 1, you fight level 60 cryo slimes, whopper flowers and hilichurls, and in the second half you fight pyro variations. You are given 10 minutes as usual, and all 3 stars require you to beat the chamber in 8 minutes. In the second chamber, you fight a large array of shielded metachurls, hilichurls, samachurls, and cryo abyss mages, while in the second half, you get slimes thrown in the mix. You get 10 minutes as usual, and you are required to beat the chamber in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. In chamber 3, you fight a Stonehide lava churl, a bunch of hilichurls, and a little geo samachurl. And in the second half, you fight pyroslams and pyroabyss mages. You get 10 minutes as usual, but all 3 stars require beating this chamber in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. On floor 6, you get 6% attack and defense every time you use an elemental burst. The max stack is 10, and at stack 5 and above, you get a 30% increase to your movement speed and attack speed. So general rule of thumb, spam all your elemental bursts. Floor 7 will be one of the more challenging floors, so I'll do my best to give you as much information as I can. In the first half of chamber 1, you'll fight 2 cryo gunners, 2 hydro gunners, and 1 electro skirmisher. The hydro gunner is a support healer, so your goal is to get rid of him first. They all get very tanky when they activate their shields, so you should try to take them out before they do so. The cryo gunner is very weak to fire, especially when you break his shield. This will immobilize him for a few seconds, so try to kill him in this time. The electro skirmisher hits like a truck, so it's better you avoid his attacks, and if he activates his shield, you need a cryo character to remove it or kiss those 3 stars goodbye. In the second half, you fight 2 pyro slingers, 2 cryo gunners, and 1 animal boxer. The animal boxer is the biggest threat in the second half due to how annoying he can be. He protects his teammates, sucks you in with his attacks, and he also heals. But one good thing is that he is very easy to kill, so get rid of him first, then deal with the rest. The recommended team comp for floor 7, and this is if you can't defeat them fast enough, you need a pyro character on both teams and also cryo, because on chamber 3, they switch things up a lot. You get 10 minutes for this floor, and to collect all 3 stars, you need to beat chamber 1 in 3 minutes, and that's 1 minute 30 seconds per section. In chamber 2, you fight 2 cryo gunner, 2 geo chanters, and 1 electro skirmisher. In the second half, you fight 2 geo chanters, 2 pyro slingers, and 1 animal boxer. With the geo chanter added, this shows you need 1 greatsword user on each team, and I'm sure you guys have more creative ways to break geo shields, but I use greatswords. And if I didn't say this before, you will need a hydro character for the pyro guy. You are given 10 minutes on this chamber, but to get all 3 stars, you need to beat it in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. In chamber 3, you fight 1 hydro gunner, 1 electro skirmisher, and 1 animal boxer in the first half. This floor can be a little tricky because they have 2 healers, and I'm sure every top tier player has their own approach to this, but this is my rule of thumb. If you're not confident to kill the animal guy really fast, then your safest option is to kill the hydro gunner first. On the second floor, you fight 1 pyro slinger, 1 electro skirmisher, and 1 animal boxer. This is why I mentioned you need 2 cryo characters before, but if you don't like me, you'll probably need to kill the electro guy before he applies his shields, or just get creative. You get 10 minutes to beat this chamber, but to get all 3 stars, you need to beat it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But don't worry though, on floor 7, you get 120% increased crit damage, and you generate elemental particles and crit hits 15 seconds at a time, so good luck to you guys. On floor 8 chamber 1, you fight 1 level 70 hydro abyss mage and 1 cryo in the first half, and then you fight 2 pyro mage in the second half. You get 10 minutes as usual, and 3 stars require beating this chamber in 3 minutes. In chamber 2, you fight a level 70 ruin guard and a few shooter hilichurls. On the second half, that team will also fight a ruin guard and a few pyro hilichurl shooters. You're given 10 minutes in this chamber, but you're required to beat it in 4 minutes to get all 3 stars. The final chamber of the Abyssal Quarter put you face to face with a Cryo Regisvine on the first half and a Pyro on the second. If you aren't strong enough to beat this floor, it provides enough incentive which put you in a position of high risk, high reward, which is basically the reverse of floor 5. When your health is below 60%, your attack and defense is increased by 50%. When your health is below 45%, your attack speed and movement speed are increased by 30%. And lastly, when your health is below 30%, your crit rate is increased by 20% and crit damage by 40%. So all the best to you guys. Lastly, we're going to talk about Abyss Benedictions. These are additional perks you get from chamber to chamber, so choose the one that best fits your playstyle or the one that benefits you the most on that floor. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. The second part should be displayed on a card here. In our next video, we will talk about the Abyssal Moonspire, so don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell to be notified as soon as that video goes live. I'll see you in the next video.